Welcome to Dare to Be Different, a new and exclusive podcast. Dare to Be Different is a vital inspiration of positivity with encouragement and enlightening to your life. Dare to Be Different fits the people who are different. My name is Tyresha Hawkins, but I go by Miss Hawkins, and I welcome you to whoever is tuning in to Dare to Be Different. I welcome you to this podcast. I welcome you with warmth, heart, open arms, and I hope that you come in with an open heart and open mind to receive all that I have for you on this podcast. As I will bring exclusive things to you, I will always keep it real on this podcast. I speak facts rather than opinions. It's okay to state your opinion, but what about the facts? I'm more of a facts person, so I completely understand if you come to Dare to Be Different, I know you're going to want to hear the real spill. The whole reason why I have this platform is to express myself and put myself out there into the world so that I can be heard and tell my story. There are a lot of people, including myself, that is just different. We are different. If you ever felt different all your life and don't fit in, there's something unique about you. That's just the way I felt all my life. I felt very different, like I was unique. Growing up, I couldn't pinpoint. I just had this self-awareness knowing that there was something different about me. I knew from when I was younger that I was different. I was unique and not like the rest of everybody around me. Having that level of self-awareness at an early age is wonderful. I must ask, what makes you different? What makes you unique? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us all very unique for specific reasons. Not everyone is born to think the same. Not everyone is born with the same body shape. We are all just uniquely different. When I was creating this project, I had to figure out what was I going to name my podcast. It's very important that I named the podcast that I knew was going to be for others relating to my story. Who was it going to resonate with? Who was going to connect with me on this podcast, what I am sharing? These are all the questions that came into my mind when I decided to create this podcast. I thought those questions, and the name of this podcast was very important to me to figure out, to really grasp and understand. Let me tell you, I did not know, so I had to ask God. I had to sit down and ask God, what am I going to name this podcast? Let me tell you the story of how I came up with Dare to Be Different. I was watching a movie. I forgot what it was called. When we ask for specific things, we have to be mindful and very careful because that answer will come to you in many different ways or in a specific way, and you just have to pay attention. Use your discernment. When I asked, what will I name my podcast? That answer came in the form of a movie. Allah will use anything to convey a message to you, and you just have to pay attention. This movie was about a girl who was an influencer, and that's really all she cared about. She came from a wealthy family and looked above everybody rather than being humble. She really wasn't a very humble person. Then suddenly, her life took a turn and she lost everything. She lost her career as an influencer in her home. She was losing everything. Towards the end of the movie, it was interesting to see humility in her. There was a deeper meaning to the movie besides my answer. Which honestly, y'all, I was just watching the movie for the entertainment and not expecting the name to my podcast to come out of it. Towards the end of the movie, she ends up opening a boutique that her parents funded. The name of her boutique was Dare to be different. It resonated with my soul, my spirit. And I was just like, I didn't have no words. I was stunned. For a second, a light bulb went off in my head. I was like, what a coincidence that it's called Dare to Be Different. When all my life, I've always said I was different. So I paused the movie on that part where the name Dare to Be Different was highlighted. For me, I just sat there looking at the name like, yeah, this is it. I was so happy. I was like, yep, this is what I'm going to name my podcast. I'm rocking with it. It fits perfectly. So this is how I got the name Dare to Be Different. How I got it was from a movie. So that's why I called my podcast Dare to Be Different. It's just beautiful to be different. To be set apart from the crowd. It's wonderful to be different. Everyone has their unique capability of doing things, of seeing things, how they articulate things. You have to ask yourself, what makes me different from anybody else, anybody in my environment, or anybody around the world? What makes me different? What is it about me that stands out? It could be the way you laugh and speak. It could be the way you grab the attention of a person or people. It could be the way you look. It could be many different reasons as to why you are different. Many of us have many different gifts, spiritual gifts that Allah gives us when we're born, as He's creating you in your mother's womb. And that is something that could make you different. For myself, what makes me different? I don't move the way other people move. I see things completely different. I think completely different than how a normal person thinks. My brain is just wired differently. I am also a highly intuitive person, a very spiritual person. And it only got stronger when Allah woke me up spiritually. Growing up as a child, I was always in my own world. Something was preventing me from seeing the reality of everything. Things around me, as far as my environment, school, things of this world, teachers, and people. We have to keep in mind that whoever raised you or had a heavy influence on your life growing up could really shape you into the person you are today. It could shape how you see things, think, understand, how you feel. All of these socio-cultural factors play a huge part in how you are. I just want to say that I don't recall a lot of things being installed in me. I don't recall being challenged enough on my intellect, my thinking. I don't recall being taught the importance of life, principles, morals, good character, just the basic manners. None of those things were taught. I was just very closed minded, didn't really think for myself, or just didn't think overall. I am not a regular type of person. I really stand out. I did a lot growing up, and when I turned 27, reality hit. Everyone has to wake up spiritually at some point in their lives. Everyone has a veil over their eyes, or had, because some folks is up. Ain't no sleeping to where they can't really see reality. They can't really come into realization because there's a veil over their eyes. There is a point in time for everybody to wake up and realize the world that we're living in, to realize who you are, and to realize who God is. Especially if you have not grown up in the background of religion or have not grown up being taught who God is. And if you were taught that, you still don't have that level of understanding or that type of relationship to where you fully understand until you reach a certain age. I could not get adjusted to this system that was created a very long time ago to keep us in slavery, to keep us in bondage, to keep us controlled. I am not a slave, only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I can't really remember all of my childhood, but what I can remember of my childhood is just, to me, it was boring. Nobody was really teaching me anything. I grew up with my grandparents, raising me most of the time, and there were some times that I did live with my mother. She was a single mother of 3 children who worked all the time. She worked very hard. I commend her for that. Now that I am an adult with 3 children, I understand completely. My grandmother didn't work. She stayed home to take care of us, which I lived with a brother and a sister. I did grow up around partying, adults drinking, and things of that nature. I remember going to school and not really understanding that aspect of my life. I don't even know how I got through school because I really did not understand what was being taught. I really was just living. I don't know why my brain wasn't clicking. I don't know why I was just not thinking. School was boring. Nothing was interesting. I didn't really go nowhere. I didn't really do anything fun. I stayed at the house most of the time. So I developed a closed mind. I was very closed minded growing up until I reached middle school. I didn't understand the curriculum still. I don't know how I got through that, but by the grace of Allah, He got me through school. I was 14 when I started smoking weed. I told my mother I was going to smoke weed when I got older. I remembered it like it was yesterday. I don't know why I felt so strongly, but when I got older, that's what I did. I smoked a lot, like I told my mother at 14. That's when I began to smoke. I started hanging out, beginning to get a feel for freedom, the outside world, thinking that it's fun, thinking that this is life. I didn't start drinking until probably when I turned 17 or 18. During the time of me 14 through 16, I was going out on the weekends, partying, spending the night here and there. No one really paid attention at home, so it was easy for me to do things on my own. My mother allowed me to spend the night at friends' house, and she would be at work. It's important to pay attention to your children. You don't know what goes on at the other person's house, who you allow your children to spend the night with. I was born and raised in a city called Elkhart, Indiana. I love my grandparents, I love my family, but they really didn't teach me nothing. They did not teach me anything at all pertaining to the tools we need to navigate through life. I just feel like there was not enough care for me growing up, especially at home, in school. You would think when you go to school, there are some teachers who call parents, raising concerns about your child's academics, intellect, and how they're grasping things. But I don't recall none of my teachers from kindergarten to high school calling my parents, or parent, I should say, and letting them know that, hey, your child is not understanding. I remember going to school and not understanding nothing that was presenting to me. I was just not grasping at all. I wasn't understanding, and most of all, my focus was not there. I was not focused at all on my schoolwork. I was just not there. I was physically there, but I was not there. I can't leave an important person out of this story, out of my background, out of my life. My father, who was gone 13 years of my life as a child. I believe I was 3 when he got locked up for that time. I remember I had to write him letters while he was in jail that my grandmother made me do. I remember not wanting to do it or understanding why I had to write him letters. I really did not want to write those letters, y'all. Once he did get out, he did not even try to make a healthy relationship with me. In fact, any of his other children who are my siblings, I love to death. My father was MIA. No phone calls, no visits, no nothing. The sad part about that is we lived in the same city. Crazy. I still love my father and no hard feelings. I know one day we will have a really good, healthy relationship. I already initiated that step again. How I was raised was not helpful to my well being. It was not helpful to my growth. I had to go through things to understand life and make sense of things. Me being 30 years old, I'm still trying to understand a lot. For the most part, I am much more aware of myself and my surroundings. I am very much so grateful. Don't get me wrong. Just because I'm telling you about my background and how I've been brought up and the environment that I was in, I'm grateful for my family, regardless of my upbringing. And that's a fact. Family is everything, no matter what. It is a blessing now that I reach 30. I'm much more focused and determined. I've been through things in life to where, when it comes to academics, I'm not playing with it. I had my challenges in the past with school, but nowadays it's different now that I'm older. It's important to further your education that you need to become something of yourself. When it comes to my children, I don't be playing because I know the importance of education. Realistically, we need it in this world no matter what you end up doing in your life. It will require some sort of education to get you to where you need to be or where you're going in life. I pour into my children, giving them the motivation that they need because children need motivation. Children need a person that's going to pour into them effectively, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. So they can get through their academics or whatever challenges in their daily lives that they may run into. Children need to be challenged. I didn't receive that growing up. I believe that if you are focused and determined, you will get through your school, work with no problem as long as your mindset is there, as long as you know the why you are there. It just hits differently, and it's important to me. It's important, period. To pour into your children, explaining the reasoning we go to school and need education to make a difference in this world, to become something of yourself, to stand on something that's yours. If you don't get through school and obtain a certificate of some sort, such as a high school diploma or a GED, I would not say it will be hard to do things. It will just delay you from taking action at that point in your life. Certain things in your life that you want to do takes having education or furthering your education. Even if you are wealthy, you still need to learn business aspects or something. Education matters, certification matters, that degree matters. Although it may be a little hard to get that dream job that you are looking for, because nowadays they want experience. Which, by the way, they need to create a whole new system when it comes to jobs and getting leads. That whole job market hiring system is trash. So I completely understand if you are not able to get a job and you have a degree. But guess what? That degree do matter. And you will get what you deserve. With that being said, I didn't have the motivation, that drive, that understanding, the environment. I didn't have all of that. Through experiences of going through the motion of life, which was crazy, because I was a rookie at first with no type of experience on how to navigate through life or knew the meaning and value of life, the importance. Now I understand much more. Like, woo! Allah has given me strength and has broadened my understanding. He pours into me when I need it. And when it comes to my academics, now that I'm in school for psychology, and then eventually once I get that bachelor's degree, for that, I have to enter into graduate school to get a master's degree for clinical psychology, entrance in counseling to become a licensed therapist. We're going to talk mental health on this platform, on this podcast, because it's very, very important. Mental health is real. I'm going to continue to water myself, water my brain, and take care of myself to get through my academics with ease. I know I will be able to get through it. I'm going to go ahead and end on this note. I just gave you a full, deep dive insight of my background, how I grew up. Listen, I'm taking y'all along this journey with me coming on this platform, having this podcast. I'm with you. I'm here to pour into you, to encourage you and inspire you to do better, to want better, to elevate, think outside the box, and to deeply connect with those that this podcast is intended for. I'm here for you. This is who I am as a person. I will never change for nobody except for my ways, my behaviors. Although I've tackled a lot of those problems in different areas of my life, we can always continue to grow and evolve as a person. No one's perfect. Peace, love, and happiness to all you beautiful ladies. I welcome you. Peace.